Hello and welcome to the Sky News All Up Politics podcast, the first of the year. I'm Adam Boulton, and joining me in what has been a very exciting and interesting week at Westminster are the Conservative MPs Anna Soubry and Owen Paterson, the Labour MP Jess Phillips, the Spiked editor Brendan O'Neill, and Sky News' political correspondent Tamara Cohen.
That somehow I've deserved this is basically as unpleasant and as wrong as judges, and we have had examples who say, well, I know you were raped, it's all terribly unfortunate, but what else did you expect if you were wearing a short skirt?
I mean, Brendan, you've...
That's a disgusting comment if you're asking me, because I think comparing protesting against a politician to a woman being raped is pretty repulsive. I think that yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
That demeans
can I just say,
I
didn't know I was coming on this podcast with this man. I think he's hugely offensive, and there's a very good example. I never compared a protest against a politician with a woman being raped.
She compared the justification
it's the
that the victim is asking for it, that somehow women, in all circumstances where misogynistic actions happen against them, be that violence against women and girls, and let's face it, both myself and Anna have faced violence.
There's always been political theatre outside Parliament. My argument...
I said only half a dozen.
But no, but this point... I keep coming back to this point because I think it's so important, right? Let's imagine they didn't do anything racist. Let's imagine they didn't say anything misogynistic. Let's imagine they didn't follow Anna to the entrance to the Parliament. Let's imagine they didn't do all those things, which we all agree are really unpleasant and problematic. Yeah. Let's imagine they just stood there and shouted, Anna Soubry is a Nazi, or Anna Soubry is scum, and it drowned out your protest. What do we do then? Because if that's all they did, and it annoyed your protesting, and it really annoyed you, Anna, and we stopped them from doing it. No, but
can you not imagine what that's like?
I've had that experience. I spoke at Oxford University a few months ago, and I was called a Nazi and a fascist and a misogynist and a homophobe and a transphobe and everything else, and I could hardly get into the building. I've had that experience, and it's not pleasant, and it's been growing in this country for a long time.
This is just shut down debate.
But
understand what it's about.
But this is what I'm saying to you.
Intimidate.
How far do you go in preventing the shouting of things outside Parliament?
You're going to prevent free speech much more, because if this carries on and we don't go out there and broadcast, and we do just stay inside our little buildings, and we come here and sit in the little studios, and we don't walk around, and I no longer feel like I can keep my office open. And I'm not saying I want them all nicked or anything. I don't want to give them the notoriety, quite frankly. I just want to know that I will be safe, and that the people around me and the children who visit Parliament, I just want to know that if I look up, there might be somebody there who needs to put a hand on a shoulder.
So if they're just
you
chanting,
think that is
that's
too
fine.
far.
If they're just chanting, that's fine.
If people were just chanting, though, if people were just chanting, to be honest...
Most of it was just chanting.
Absolutely. If people are just chanting, we are eventually just going to get annoyed with it, and their voices are going to be squashed, because we will find another way to...
I would say stopping. I don't think it should be permissible to interrupt our broadcast to the point that we can't broadcast. Because that is one person asserting their right over others, and I don't think that's acceptable.
I don't know if you have children, but there was a group of children under the age of, I think they were about 7 or 8, who witnessed, and these are girls and boys, a woman, and it has to be said, being called a woman scum. Can you imagine what those children must have thought about the world that they are about to inherit? There will have been children who will have heard Kay Burley called a slag.
But I can imagine that.
You're not British. And then they saw that me, as a Member of Parliament, was denied from getting into Parliament, which is an undoubted criminal offence. One of them was back out there yesterday, up to his normal tricks. That is not lawful protest.
But I can imagine that, because when I was...
I can tell you, young women in particular, watching this will not go into public life, and that includes going into...
There is a streak of misogyny about it, isn't there, as well as some of the... among this small group of people, and racist abuse, because...
I should say at least one of them's a woman, though.
The issue of intimidation...
I didn't see her. I've never met her.
You can still be a misogynist if you're a woman.
But I think I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable with this idea that this kind of protesting is particularly harmful to women. I think that suggests that female MPs aren't as cut out for this as male MPs are.
I'm trying to finish. Please, I'm tougher than half the bloody people in there, and almost all of the men.
Point.
Well, then don't
My all-time.
Can I just say, you constantly put words into our mouths to try and make division.
You're very similar to
Someone just said, I can't remember who it was, someone just said, especially women will be put off, and I'm interested to know why. But if you'd let me finish my point. Well, I disagree with our Prime Minister on many things. My all-time favourite Member of Parliament, Bernadette Devlin, who was the MP for Mid-Ulster in the early 70s, she dealt with the Home Secretary at the time, Reginald Maldon, who was being incredibly offensive about the Bloody Sunday massacre, by punching him in the face. This idea, no, I don't think you should do that, but I do think we should trust that women,
Do you know who was my
female
favourite MP?
MPs are just as capable. Female MPs, right, the debate ender. Here we go, the debate ender. You mentioned Jo Cox, and
one
you
of my
end
best
the debate.
friends who was
you end the
murdered
debate,
in
right?
the
So what can I say
streets.
now?
Is that your favourite MP, actually?
What can I say now? Nothing, right?
What have you done
No,
wrong?
you can say whatever you like.
Unbelievable.
Oh gosh, it must be awful to have people who can shut you down and be so annoying that you feel you can't speak
exploiting
anymore.
a murder.
Jeez.
Oh, for
It
God's
is.
sakes.
That is quite
You
annoying.
do know who
That is quite
murdered
annoying.
Jo Cox?
Yes, I do. Thomas
follower
Mayer.
of exactly these same people.
You think that I'm exploiting her? You think that I'm not scared because of what happened to her?
Disgrace. You're a disgrace.
How-
I'm out.
Yeah.
I've got
Okay.
another programme to go to, and that is appalling.
It is.
Are you
This is
serious?
absolutely appalling.
Are you
Somebody,
serious?
a real-life human being,
Right.
was murdered.
Okay.
I tell you now, the fear that people have...
Excuse me,
and
Anna.
You don't think I'm
no,
frightened?
I'm sorry. You can't just sit there shouting.
You
Go
don't
on, off you
think
go.
I'm frightened?
Off you go.
I've had
What
three
I'm
people
saying.
go to prison
What
for
I'm
making
saying.
death threats
Let
to
me say what I'm saying.
3 people have received
To
custodial sentences for making death threats to me. My 85-year-old mother was sent a letter threatening her safety. I think you know my mum, Owen. I think you went up during the Newark by-election. She's a remarkable woman. She was sent a threat to her, a real-life human being, and somebody actually was murdered. You don't understand.
And what are you saying?
I'm
Are
out
you
of
saying
it.
that because
I've had
someone
enough
was
of it.
murdered, there are certain things we can't
Okay.
say?
I'm not interested
Right,
in
well, we're going to
children
change the subject in any
Absolutely
case.
irrational.